Hello, welcome to Yes But You're Wrong, the show where we dive into conversations everyone's having. So let's get into it. My body, my choice. It's been a powerful rallying cry for women everywhere. But as we all know, what was true yesterday might not be today. In fact, how we treat, decorate, and even monetize our bodies has become a hot topic of discussion, as well as a multi-billion-dollar and pound industry, with debates popping up everywhere.
Today, we're going to get into some juicy topics. We'll talk about everything from prostitution to Sydney Sweeney. Lil Tay turns 18 and breaks an OnlyFans record. Oh, and we can't forget about vabbing. Yeah, I said it. If you're not familiar with this latest trend in attracting a mate, you might want to put down your supper and brace yourselves. Hold on tight. It's time for Yes, But You're Wrong.
Episode 4, My Body, My Choice. As you said, we're going to be getting into some juicy topics. But the first one is prostitution. I don't think I normally talk about prostitution, to be honest. Do you?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. I'm a guy. Of course I talk about prostitution.
When does it come up? Or are you joking? Are you winding me up?
I wish I were joking. Prostitution is got a huge stigma around it here in the States. Our Congress managed to make it illegal in 1910. Interestingly enough, they called it the White Slave Traffic Act. But yeah, I think it should be legal. It certainly comes up in the news a lot here. We could certainly use the tax base from it. That's my feeling on it.
Theoretically, I say theoretically because there are caveats. It is legal here. It's legal for a person to charge another person to have sex with them. And I think there's some ruling around the fact that it has to be in a safe space. I'm using inverted commas here, a safe space. If a woman wants to entertain a client, she can do so, and there's no violation of any law. It's fine if you've got a genuine person coming in who just wants that financial exchange, but as soon as a predator enters a place, it's no longer a safe place anyways. The idea that you were creating that safe space in the first place becomes a little bit redundant.
So here, the high end, in quotes, prostitutes come from a call service. You get a number, you call somebody. Those are the high end prostitutes, if you will.
That's like an escort service, right? An escort service with extras.
Yeah, or prostitute. I've had cases where people get themselves into some interesting situations. You know, I've had a couple cases where a guy would go to the forest preserve, ended up hooking up with this another kid, and he ended up getting extorted for all kinds of money. And by the time he, was broke and made his way to us, there's really not a lot we can do. If you legalize prostitution, you're helping out both sides of the equation. You're helping out the people that want to use the services from getting taken advantage of or blackmailed or that kind of thing. And you're making it much more safe, I believe, for the girls that want to engage in sex for money and pay bills or whatever their motive is. I know a whole host of law enforcement agencies that spend a lot of time going to massage places and doing these undercover stings. It seems sort of like a waste of resources to me, unless you're busting up some sex trafficking sting. That would seem more worthwhile. If you're just there to arrest people who knowingly like giving a little handy at the end of a massage and making it a happy ending, I'm all for it. Do you think that women feel it's empowering or degrading?
I think it depends on the woman you ask. I really do. If it were me, I don't know. I suppose if I chose to do it, of course I'd be being empowered. I'd be doing it of my own volition. I can't imagine doing many things, being pressured into many things, apart from maybe this podcast. It hasn't really crossed my mind. I haven't gone down that route of should I or shouldn't I ever. I've never asked that question myself. Even having watched Pretty Woman at quite a young age, it didn't occur to me for a single second that could be a route that I could take. Have you had to deal with any more sinister sides of this, like underage prostitution, for example?
Yeah, but I don't know that it was sinister, so to speak.
Underage?
Yeah, it's underage. However, she was doing this on her own volition. I'll explain a little bit of the case. It was a Sunday morning, like 7:15 in the morning. Her grandmother called because she had gotten a phone call from the daughter that basically said, hey, I'm fine. I'll be home in a couple days or whatever. The grandma figured out where the phone call came from. It happened to be from our town. I got dispatched to the house, and sure enough, some 30-something-year-old guy answered the phone. And, I asked him, hey, is so-and-so here? He goes, yeah, she's in the bedroom. So that was a problem because the girl was 15 years old. He claimed he had no idea. The interesting part about this particular case was she was savvy enough to realize, and independent enough at that age to realize, she could cut out her John, so to speak, the guy running her, and just struck up these relationships on her own, and just basically moved into this guy's house for a week and had him pay her directly the money. In that particular case, she sort of empowered herself and said, you know what, I'm just going to stay here and I'll just get the number directly and I don't have to give this other guy money, which is what she was doing. Over 60% of these women that find themselves in these trafficked situations, typical story here where there's a long line of abuse, the grandfather's doing something, the mom's boyfriend's doing something, then she goes to another house and then somebody else is sexually abusing her, and it's just an awful story. And she probably just figured, you know what, all these guys are going to use me for sex, I'm going to make them pay.
You say it's that cutting out the middleman to cut out what we would refer to as a pimp. I feel it does cut out a little bit of the safety aspect as well, if you call it that, but I don't know, maybe that's just my brain going in the wrong direction.
There's nothing safe to me about illegal prostitution.
That point of contact, that backup, I think if you're going to do it, God, I think I'd prefer to have that in place. If that was your daughter, for goodness sake, surely it's not okay if it's your daughter going down that route.
The issue is this: just because a guy who she clearly doesn't know very well, who is using some sort of force or coercion over her and dropping her off at a place, doesn't mean it's a safe place, which is interesting because when you started the conversation, apparently a woman can pay for sex as long as it's in a safe place. What the hell does that mean?
Well, that's right? That's the point I'm making. That's what our law here says, which I just think is a sort of nonsensical law, to be perfectly honest. The second that person is predatory, that safe place becomes unsafe. So how can you possibly know? It's ridiculous.
There are many, many cases where a guy picks up a prostitute, wakes up, has no idea what happened. His wallet's gone. He's been robbed. In some cases, people were using this as a ruse to steal organs. It's not safe for anybody. Again, it could be much more safe. You could imagine the worker comp claims. I'd love to be in human resources for that. Could you imagine? I mean,
I honestly can't. I literally can't imagine. No.
That'd be
what about? I mean, it's legal. You've got legal prostitution in the States, in Nevada, haven't you?
In a state, but it's in a county in a state. So it's in one location. And by the way, what's really fascinating about it, you don't really hear anything crazy coming out of there. You don't hear many complaints out of the women, and certainly don't hear many complaints out of the men, that's for sure. It is interesting that this sort of falls under my body, my choice.
Why don't you get that?
The my body, my choice started, for the right to choose and end a pregnancy. And now this is going to fall under my body, my choice. I'm going to be a prostitute. Let's say that that's true. I'll accept the premise. It's my body, my choice. Then I'd like to see more women, selling themselves for sex and then seeing somebody arrest them and then go to the Supreme Court and challenge it and say, no, I should be able to do this. Do you think it's a healthy outlet for men and women?
There are actually quite a few circumstances where you could argue that it is a good idea because people can let off steam, they can practice, they can explore and experiment in a non-emotional way. Maybe it's just fun and maybe it's just a physical release. Maybe it's a relief if they're from a particular origin that's repressed. For those reasons, I can see there being a valid argument.
Practice?
Practice? I did say practice. I don't know.
What do we practice?
Know why people do it.
I don't.
Technique, what is that? Style. What? I don't know.
Is there like a horn that goes off and go, okay, practice is over, now it's game time? What do you mean practice?
They might want to practice. What does that mean? But people might want to practice their moves. I don't know what it means. I wouldn't begin to profess to know.
I think it makes it much more safe for all the participants. To me, this falls under sort of the victimless crime. Again, this is taken in the context that no one's being trafficked and everybody's raising their hand and being like, hey, I'm going to be a sex worker. In that regard, it's safe, it's regulated, heavily regulated, because we overregulate everything here. So I'm going to assume that's going to be a heavily regulated industry, which it should be. Maybe it sort of addresses some of all the violent crime, the crimes against women on college campuses.
Can I just say, I'm not sure that it would, though, because it's not free. I'm not sure the people who commit those crimes would necessarily stop committing those crimes because prostitution was legalized, because they would still have to pay and they would still have to formalize their actions. I don't think it would be a behavioral change situation, because people commit those violent crimes in a moment where they cease to be able to control themselves. And I can't see how legalization of the whole industry would actually stop that and have that key behavioral change. It might prevent certain crimes. To really combat the risk around prostitution as an economy, well, I don't think legalization helps. I think behavioral change is the thing that's going to make. Behavioral change is that if people can't control themselves in the heat of the moment, if they have a strong urge to attack someone and they're unable to stop themselves, the fact that prostitution is legal is irrelevant, because they're not about to whip out their checkbook, are they?
We won't know until we actually legalize prostitution. That's number one. And number two, I'm not suggesting in any way that people who are horrible, violent, sexual criminals, that's somehow going to put an end to that. I don't see a downside to legalizing prostitution. You guys legalized it. So what's the downside there?
The downside, I think, is that there's ambiguity around the stipulations, what is deemed a safe space. If you're at home on your own, your house is perfectly safe. But the second you let someone else in that you don't know, how do you know it's safe? I think it makes a farce of the law, personally.
Have you seen a rise in complaints?
There have been reports in the UK that sex workers face high rates of violence, and women in prostitution are significantly more likely to be murdered than a woman who is not a prostitute. 2013 report stated a 225% increase in reported assault. That's reported. There could be many that go unreported. It doesn't seem like a safe space to me, regardless of whether
here's the counter argument to that from the law enforcement side. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if the UK didn't legalize it, all those assaults would go unreported, and the bad guys would go unreported and still run around and do that, whether it's to a sex worker or just random citizen. So the fact that they're legalizing this gives them a mechanism to be safe and report the assault and get the perpetrator arrested and off the streets. I would say the counter argument to what you're saying is that's proof it's making it more safe, because now all these creeps who are just criminals are getting off the street and being held accountable and being reported to law enforcement. Could mean the exact opposite of what you're saying.
Doesn't it encourage more people to do it, though? That's the point. I think if you legalize it, it sort of legitimizes it. So surely more people will go towards that as a profession. Surely then the numbers will increase, and surely that's why we might have seen the increase. I don't like the idea of legitimizing prostitution as a profession.
Okay, so we'll agree to disagree. I'm all for it.
By saying this is legal, you're saying it's okay, effectively, which means
we could just close our eyes and pretend it doesn't exist. We could do that.
No, I mean, but which in turn means that more people will be drawn into doing it because it's a legitimate profession.
We have the circus here in the States. There's like circus clowns and the bearded lady and all kinds of other stuff. I don't know that that's legitimizing people going, I want to be a bearded lady when I grow up, or a circus clown. I mean, I it's out there. Like
some of us don't get a choice about whether we're a bearded lady or not.
Correct. But it's out there. My point is it's out there. It's just making it a safe environment for everybody. It's creating human trafficking. Sex trafficking here in the States is awful. And you could certainly regulate it and make it much more safe for people. And by the way, it's just sort of our way of saying, listen, we hear you. It's your body, your choice. Go do it.
So you're for it. I'm tempted to defer to your experience as a police officer, as a former police officer. Well, I think I'm going to steer clear of it. Let's put it that way. No prostitution for me for the foreseeable future, at least. Yes, this is where we will someday have an actual commercial break with real sponsors, but we don't yet. So instead, we want to give you a shout out. Yes, we actually have people following us and people listening to the show, and we're very grateful. So thank you, MPew608, Fred Horrell, Mrs. Winnie, Sin City 55, and our producer David's favourite, my mother, Jane Gould. We appreciate you all. If you want a shout out, follow us. It's that easy. Now, back to the show. Have you heard of it? OnlyFans? You must have done.
The interesting part about OnlyFans is you can pay guys to have sex with you on camera, and somehow that doesn't fall under prostitution. What am I missing here? The OnlyFans figured out we're going to give you your money. So the people showing their private parts or doing sex or these sex acts, they're getting paid 80% and OnlyFans is keeping 20%. Well, that's a pretty good model. Everybody's paying taxes to their respective government. They all got to file income taxes. So why aren't we legalizing prostitution?
But I'll just put something to you. If any platform wants to attract people to it, and any individual user of a platform, the only way they're going to get more money is to attract attention. I think there are tons of ways to attract attention that don't involve being naked or having sex. But I almost think it's like the lowest common denominator.
I see more negative things to OnlyFans than I do if you would legalize prostitution. I would agree with you that this could negatively impact people that don't necessarily have a mature view of the universe. Not all women want to go have sex with 100 dudes in a night. You could have very immature kids watching this thinking, oh, all girls want to do this. The big problem I have is that it's not as regulated as it should be, and you have too many underage kids in there watching this content. Seems pretty depressing and grotesque to me. But it's a horrible impact for these young people to be watching that, thinking that that's somehow normal.
I guess, yes, you are right. You're also wrong, I think, because it shouldn't have to be about sex. Having a production line of people having sex with someone, it's this lowest common denominator. We get desensitized en masse as a society to all sorts of things that I really don't think we should be becoming desensitized. One of the most wealthy people using OnlyFans doesn't do sex stuff. She does, artist stuff, collaborations, that kind of thing. And I think that's a much more intelligent way to use the platform. We don't always have to just default back to that.
Yes, we do. Yes. Everything defaults back to sex. So,
well, I mean, it's there, but it doesn't have to. There are tons of creative ways.
No. Everything defaults back to sex. They have 82 million users. 82 million. That's a lot. There's 160 million in the United States, I think.
Are you one of them? Are you one of them?
I am not a member of OnlyFans.
Nor am I. I mean, as in a viewer, not a consumer rather than a creator.
I'm not anything to do with OnlyFans. Is an English girl, Lily Phillips. She did that stunt where she had sex with 100 dudes in a day, 12 hours.
And then there's another one who tries to surpass it.
Lisa Sparks, 919. And then Bonnie Blue came in at 10,057. The point is, every single one of them paid, and it wasn't an issue.
No, but the only reason that she did that was because she needed a sensational mechanism to get the most out of the platform that she was using, and she defaulted to sex.
Interesting. So you're not for my body, my choice now all of a sudden?
I don't think this is about her body. I really don't. I think this is exploiting a handy financial mechanism and not using your imagination to do it in a way other than sex.
100 dudes in 12 hours? I would say that's pretty creative. I mean, you got to be pretty creative at number 98.
As you said before, legalization would theoretically enable people to report more crimes if there were any. It's poignant, actually. And this came up in a documentary, I think it was about Facebook. Anyone online we're all referred to as users, and the only people that were referred to as users really en masse before these things were drug users. The little girl, Lil Tay, can I call her a little girl? Does that make me sound patronizing? Lil
Uh,
Tay turned 18. She was a TikTok star, and now she's 18, and now she's old enough to be on OnlyFans. Off she went over to OnlyFans and made $1 million in 3 hours. It is appealing. I wouldn't mind making $1 million in 3 hours.
I don't think it's a great thing. However, I'm 100% for if you want to go make your money and that's how you're going to do it. And then in 10 years, you're going to sit on the beach and hope that nobody on your private beach has OnlyFans account and you can drift into oblivion. God bless you.
I like the idea of inspiring and encouraging and educating people to express themselves in a myriad different ways than lining up 1,000 men and allowing them to have sex with them. I think it's too basic and it doesn't encourage people to reach their potential.
You got to open your aperture, Harriet. I mean,
Is that so?
I'm telling you, she had to have been pretty creative in there. It's not for me, but
I don't mind. I'd like to expand someone's creativity beyond their variety of sexual positions offered. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
More specifically.
Okay. Fair enough.
Let them reach their potential outside the bedroom. You wouldn't pay to watch any of this then?
I mean, listen, high definition ruined porn for me. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody I know wants a close up of that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, I like the old grainy rabbit ears, aluminum foil. You know, you can't really see. It's more left to the imagination. Nothing's left to the imagination now. You're getting a high definition picture of the parts. So
right, yeah, got it.
I'm out. I'm out.
You're out. I'm out too. I don't think I was ever in. One day, this is where we will play a message from our sponsors. But since it's only episode 4 and we don't have any, we wanted to use this time to invite some of our favourite brands to jump in and sponsor the show before there's a long line. United Airlines. I use you all the time and would love to be able to tell everyone about how amazing your airline is.
Guinness Beer. Cheers to you and your amazing beer. It's the drinkable version of the show.
Botox, because if we are ever going to add a video element to the show, Rodney and I could use a little touch-up. Do it for the fans, all 77 of them.
Shure microphones. One of the biggest comments we get about the show is the low production values. We get it. Can you imagine how great I would sound with your amazing microphones?
Of course, McDonald's. What goes better with this podcast than a Big Mac and fries?
If you're ready to sponsor the most popular podcast in the world, hosted by a bald American and the ginger Brit, email us at yesbutyourewrong@gmail.com. Now back to the show.
And there is actually someone who's sort of slightly being vilified at the moment for taking part in something which I think was a work of art. Sydney Sweeney, who did the American Eagle ad. Basically, there's a lot of negativity around the fact that she's not black or she's not from an ethnic minority of some other denomination. And they're all having a go at the company. What do you think? Are you outraged by the new ad for American Eagle jeans?
I'm outraged that Sydney Sweeney is bringing back mom jeans. Okay? Those are the worst jeans on planet Earth. I want nice, tight-fitting jeans. I want to look at a nice ass. I don't need mom jeans. Are you kidding me? Yeah, she's hot. She is smoking hot. She should not be bringing back mom jeans. Put her in a pair of jeans that shows off her nice ass. What is she doing?
I thought her ass looked lovely. I wouldn't mind. Look, my ass.
You couldn't see it because she's wearing mom jeans.
They're not sprayed on. I think that's if anything sexier.
Here's my take on this. It leaked out that she's a registered Republican. So right away now half the country hates her here. I didn't even know who she was before the ad came up. The fact that a marketing person finally got something right in terms of marketing here in the United States, thank goodness.
And what do you mean by right? Which bit did they get right?
Their stock is up 18% as soon as they launched that ad. Take that in contrast to that idiot Bud Light marketing lady where she blows up all the fraternity guys here for drinking Bud Light. She tells them they're horrible humans. Kid Rock shoots a bunch of Bud Light and their beer, which was number one, is nobody even buys it or drinks it anymore. You have Jaguar, an ad that's got a bunch of, I don't even know what they were. It was like a Teletubby, like if a bunch of Teletubbies got together and they all had a litter and it just spurted out and accidentally came out a little too soon. There are all these little Teletubbies on TV with paintbrushes and stuff, and then no car. And what happens to Jaguar? 97% collapse in Europe. The fact that some marketing people or a group of marketing people sat down and looked at this ad, and now they took a horrible fitting jean and their stock is up 18%, God bless them.
This is the thing. Apparently, the people are so angry because she is a slim, attractive girl. Where are the fat people advertising these jeans? That's what people seem to be annoyed about. There's this phrase called that people use, outrage marketing. Now, I think what we just spoke about, OnlyFans, that is more in line with the concept of outrage marketing, that sensationalism behavior. This, I don't think, is outrage marketing. This is, I think, exceptionally well executed, very innocent, if you like, ad that perhaps is designed to create attention. All advertising is designed to create attention. Therefore, the mark of a good ad is the one that creates attention. Like you said, their stocks are up. Brilliant. Well done. Pay rise for the creatives on that ad. We're not hurting anyone. We're not being rude about anyone. We're not even saying buy the jeans. She literally says in the ad, I'm not telling you to do this, that, or the other. I think it's a really exceptional ad. It's one for the ages, I think. And the idea that you need to have a person of every single denomination in any ad to make it okay is kind of for the birds.
Where's the outrage for all the Calvin Klein hot male models advertising their jeans and their underwear? Where's that outrage?
The hours they spent in the gym perfecting every contour.
I'm sick of seeing it.
Didn't get picked.
Yeah, I'm sick of seeing it. I don't want to see any more 12 packs or 6-pack abs of a bunch of dudes. I'm tired of it. I'm going to start that outrage. Why are we only mad at this? Do you think this is anti-Semitic because she's blonde-haired, blue eyes?
And the guy that runs the company is Jewish. Under no circumstances do I think this is anti-Semitic. No, I think people have to be digging fairly deep to find any offence in this ad, to be honest. I think they have a victim mentality and they're looking for a way to turn what they believe is victimization around to support their argument. There's no such thing going on in this ad. If you literally look at the stats on this, only 9% of the population are blonde with blue eyes. So if you want to talk about giving minority groupings exposure or a chance to get on or do something or be employed or earn a living, then that argument falls flat because Sydney Sweeney is part of a 9% minority. It's kind of facetious to use that as an example for various reasons. No way is it racist or anti-Semitic, or is it anything to do with eugenics? How ridiculous. Honestly, how ridiculous.
One of the big issues I have with the Sydney Sweeney outrage is this huge craze, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, whatever it is, all these massive weight loss crazes. A lot of the people that are complaining about Sydney Sweeney, or at least that I've seen, some of them look like mongrels. So, they're whatever.
Mongrels. What do mongrels look like, Rodney, for goodness sake?
They look like, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
But now there's this massive craze where all these big people want to be skinny. So if all these big people want to be skinny, then what's the problem with Sydney Sweeney, and why are people so into Ozempic?
It's early days. It's almost wonderful that so many people are willing to take part in this enormous experiment to see how safe these things are. And it almost is testimony to how much people really do want to be thin. And it almost makes a mockery of the different body shape, body size movement that there definitely has been. It almost makes a mockery of that. It's almost as though people were saying, yeah, no, we're fat and we're beautiful and we need to embrace it and flaunt it until there's a way for us to get thin without actually having to do much work ourselves. Then it's okay to want to be thin again. I don't think I'll ever try it. Would you use it? 100%. Are you overweight?
I'm sure I'm overweight because, some doctor said I'm overweight, so I'm overweight.
You feel overweight?
Yeah, I don't think people are overweight. I just think they're a little short for their weight, right? So if people were taller, they'd be less obese.
So
Some
we need
people
to specify the height to width ratio.
Well, if somebody was 10 feet tall, they could weigh 600 pounds. I'm all for performance enhancers. I think it's genius. This drug's been around a long time. In the United States of America, we weren't a country of obese people. And now when you go to Disney World, you can barely get down Main Street because at 8 a.m, it's like a little family of fat ducklings are all got popcorn boxes up to their face, drinking a 36-ounce thing of Coke. 40% of the adults here in America are obese. Probably some of the thought process is, do I want to live my life miserable as a fat person or shorten my life and take a shot and enjoy whatever years I got left while I take this shot and the shot sort of ravages my body? Again, this goes back to our theme. It's your body, your choice. I'm a little nervous about so many people losing weight because, some of my favorite TV shows are My 600-Pound Life, My 1,000-Pound Sister, My Big Fat Fabulous Life.
Why do you
I'm going to miss
those. I mean, on the flip side, you could be, my disappearing wife, my impossibly thin sister, and trying to feed them up.
There's something to be said about somebody that's 1,000 pounds, is in a bed, can't get out, and somehow manages to get 20 chickens down, 8 loaves of bread, and 4 dozen eggs. Like, how are they doing that? They're in a bed. Somebody's feeding the 1,000-pound person.
They're called fat feeders. I saw a program that said that years and years ago.
If that were on OnlyFans, I would subscribe. Lizzo, it's not weight loss anymore, it's weight release. I mean, come on.
But that's just branding. That's just clever marketing. And I'm all for that. I really am. Using language to differentiate yourself from what someone else is saying. Yes, it's not dieting, it's not fat loss. I don't refer to myself as being fat. I think I've got fat on me, but I don't think I'm fat. And I don't think anyone who thinks that they've got too much fat on them should then call themselves fat. So if she wants to fiddle around with semantics, no problem. But don't you think it's hypocritical, though? For health purposes, I think it's a great thing. If you release your fat, you're not going to be at much risk of heart attacks and strokes and death or diabetes.
Apparently a British woman who was bullied for being fat, and she now makes $12,000 a month eating fast food on OnlyFans. I might be a subscriber to OnlyFans in pretty shortly here. Take the shot. That's what I have to say. Are you going to be a happy person? Take the shot. Do they have a happy shot? I need one of those. I need a happy shot.
Speaking of happy shots, I suppose we could go to unhappy shots and go to the part of the show that we've, I suppose, been trying to put off till the bitter end. It is at the bitter end. But I am going to go to it now. Vabbing. You said it at the beginning, and I'm saying it now. Further legitimizing this. It's actually not that new. I did notice it was popularized on TikTok a few years ago. Vabbing is, and I'm sorry I have to say this. Maybe you already know, you're listening and you already know, and you're way ahead of me and I'm just catching up now. But vabbing is the idea, it's part of this dating trend. Okay, you swipe your fingers between your legs to capture some secretions, and then you dab them on your pulse points where you might put perfume and go about your day or your date. And this is supposed to attract a mate, presumably a mate who is naturally attracted to your secretions. Rodney, have you ever been in a position where you have been disproportionately attracted to somebody where you might suspect they've been vabbing? I
thought you were going to ask me if I vabbed before, and I was going to tell you I don't have a vagina.
Thanks for clarifying.
It's disgusting. Let's be serious here.
There's no other way to describe it, actually, is it?
I blame this on Gwyneth Paltrow because she was selling her vagina scented candle, and it sold out in a nanosecond. Her vagina scented candle, if you're wondering, smells like rose, vanilla, and cedar.
Did you buy it?
No, it's back ordered. I've been waiting 5 years for it. In the meantime, I've just had to light regular candles. What if these people have chlamydia? You're spreading chlamydia all over your face and your neck. Maybe this is a trick, and we're trying to trick women into this form of oppression in which they value their worth by attracting a mate. And my other question to you, Harriet, is, are women trying to attract men or women by doing this?
Well, I suppose they don't get to choose who's attracted to them if they're, well, under any circumstances in a way, but especially if they're going to apparently do this thing that's going to really make people inexplicably drawn to them.
Is this vabbing directed at men or women?
I assume men are going to be more drawn to it, but you just don't know. I mean, maybe we should ask some women loving women. Maybe that's why it was popular on TikTok, because nobody actually had to endure it, i.e. they couldn't smell it. I don't know if I keep seeing a lot of Ozzy Osbourne content since he died recently. There was one clip that I saw recently that is kind of like on topic with this vabbing business, because Sharon Osbourne was curled up on the sofa with her then teenage daughter Kelly. Kelly licked her finger and then swiped it across her mother's top lip, and Sharon was clearly horrified by this. She stopped, reached down her trousers into her knickers, wiped her finger there, and then brandished it at her daughter. And of course then Kelly leapt off and Sharon chased her around the house. So it doesn't always serve to attract. It can be used as a deterrent or a punishment as well. The jury's out on vabbing. I won't be doing it.
A punishment? Men have been complaining this has been a punishment for decades. What are you talking about? What? I mean, what? It's
if someone's
or a reward,
licking your finger and wiping it on someone's top lip is kind of gross. Almost the only appropriate response is to do what Sharon did, and I just think she's possibly the only person on the planet who'd do it.
Would you like a Gwyneth Paltrow candle? I'd be happy to send you one.
Not especially. I can live without that.
Okay. It's a trend that should end.
That's trend that should end. Nice. I like it. Okay, Rodney, I had no idea how this show was going to turn out. I mean, vabbing, I just didn't know. I feel a little like I need a bath or a cold plunge or something, maybe. How are you feeling? Do you think we've covered it all?
Yeah, we covered it all. Vabbing, I can assure you, I thought I'd never in a million years have a conversation with somebody about vabbing. Ozempic, we've touched on all of it, I think.
I feel like I'm getting to know you a little bit more, which is the point. Yeah. So I'm very happy that we're having these conversations, and I'm even happier that you're the one that I get to have them with.
Well, thank you. I agree. And I'm looking forward to next week now that I know you don't vape.
Yeah. And even if, we're not in the same room, so you'd be spared anyway. But yeah, it's nice to know. Nice to know the facts. So, Rodney, until our next conversation, I'm Harriet Gould, and this is Yes, But You're Wrong.
We hope you enjoyed listening to Yes, But You're Wrong, the show that tackles everything. If there's a topic you'd like us to dive into, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or X and leave us a comment. Just search Yes, But You're Wrong, and we should pop right up. Yes, But You're Wrong is produced by Wallach Worldwide Entertainment and can be enjoyed on most of your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in.